Did you turn it on?
Yes.
Is mine on?
Yours is on.
Okay, look at this. See?
Oh, money.
All right, so I'm standing over here.
Yeah.
Here, this is yours.
Wait, that's good. Okay, remember this could die at any point.
Yeah, but go that way, because like I gotta look that way, because if I'm looking that way, it glares too much.
Right in the sun, yeah. Okay.
All right, and be like, you gotta teach sales.
All right, time to teach sales.
Sales. All right, listen, guys. Sales is the lifeblood of any business, not just a law firm, any business. If you can sell, you have so much freedom in life. Freedom in business comes from the ability to sell. And the key to having freedom in sales is understanding that sales is a service. Sales is something we do for our prospects, not to our prospects. Sales is all about helping a person find clarity in their life. Clarity about where their life is today, clarity about where they want their life to be in the future, and clarity about where their life is likely to wind up if they don't make some decisions now. Now, that's kind of high level stuff, but it really is that simple. Let me give you a couple practical tips for when you're selling legal services starting tomorrow, right? Most people who are going to go to a law firm are going to be thinking about their life in terms of three main areas. They're going to be thinking about their life in terms of their time. They're going to be thinking in terms of their life in terms of their money. They're going to be thinking of their life in terms of their reputation. And this goes for consumer law firms as well as business-to-business law firms, because even if your law firm serves businesses, there's still an individual who's ultimately making the decision, and that individual is thinking about his or her life or career in terms of their time, their money, and their reputation. So it goes kind of like this. You meet with a prospective new client, and by the way, if you ever schedule an appointment with a member of my team, it's worth scheduling an appointment with a member of my team just to have this experience, right? The conversation starts like this. Thanks for coming in for the appointment. Thanks for scheduling the call. When we originally scheduled this appointment, we agreed that we were going to have 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever the number of minutes is that you normally schedule your appointments for. By the way, here's a tip. I'd rather you schedule an hour-long appointment and increase your conversion ratio rather than keep trying to do these 30-minute bullshit appointments that people keep trying to do and their conversion rate is crap. Do a 90-minute appointment and you'll see your conversion rate will not only go up, but your price resistance will go down and you'll end up with a much more cooperative client also.
Why is that?
Well, because you have the time to really provide a valuable service for the prospect to help them truly think through and make sense and find clarity about, you might be the only person in this prospective new client's entire life who is willing and interested enough to take the time to help them think through and articulate where they are now in terms of their time, their money, and their reputation, where they want to be in terms of their time, their money, and their reputation, and really help them find the courage to think through and face the reality of where their life or career is likely to end up if they don't make some changes today. Because, life is not a dress rehearsal. This is it. This is our life. We're not going to get another one. So we got to make the best decisions we can today so we can have a better life tomorrow. I don't want people waking up a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now with regrets that they didn't make a better decision 10 years ago. Oh, if I had only known 10 years ago that how my life would have turned out, I would have written a business plan. I would have taken 2 days out of my entire life to actually write a business plan that describes how my law firm is supposed to work. But instead, I'm going to spend the next 10 years of my life just like a hamster on a wheel. All right, sales. Sales. So it goes like this. Thanks for coming in for the appointment. And by the way, one of the things we're going to talk about if you do the 4-week boot camp thing that we're going to do is we'll talk about what we call the preconditioning glide path, that all the things that you set in place to precondition and pre-qualify and pre-educate and get the prospective client ready to have this conversation. And that happens in a systematic, consistent way that does not take a whole bunch of your time. All right, client gets there. Thanks for coming. When we originally scheduled this appointment, we agreed that we were going to take an hour. Does that amount of time still work for you? If they say no, some emergency has erupted, abort the mission. Help them solve the emergency that they've got, even if it's got nothing to do with the services of your firm. And respect that they're not in the headspace to make an important decision about their legal needs if their house just caught on fire. If they say yes, now's a good time to speak. Great. Number one, you know you've got their undivided attention for an hour. Number two, they know they've got your undivided attention for an hour. Number three, you know that you've got an escape clause in an hour. Number four, they know that this is going to be an hour and they don't have to worry that this is going to be the appointment that never ends. You don't have to keep holding on to that blue thing if it's bouncing you around. Just let it float away. All right. They say yes, an hour still works for me. Great. Before we get started, I want to assure you that everything we talk about will be kept strictly confidential. Now, you went to law school, I went to law school, we both understand this, but I promise you, when you say these words, I want to assure you that everything we talk about here today will be kept strictly confidential. Just say those words. Write those words down right now. Say those words, and I promise you, you will see a physical... You will see their shoulders go down. You will see the stress come away from their face. They will open up their body language. They will begin opening up to you about things that will amaze you and delight you. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to create a safe place for another human being to talk about what's going on in their life. You may be the only person they've ever met who created and cared enough to create a safe place like that. Before we get started, I want to confirm that we still have an hour. Does that still work for you? Yes, it does. Okay, before we get going, I want to just confirm, I just want to let you know that everything we talk about today will be kept strictly confidential. You watch them relax. Okay, to make the best use of our time together, I'd like to propose an agenda. May I do that? They're either going to say, yes, you may, or they're going to say, no, you can't. If they say, no, you can't, welcome to what it's going to be like to work with this person if you accept an engagement from them, right? Now, they might say, no, you can't, because I have a suggestion for an agenda, and maybe their agenda is even better, right? They might say, rather than you proposing an agenda, let me propose that you just take my credit card and let me get started right now. Hey, great, that's a better agenda. You never know. These things happen. May I propose an agenda? Yes, you can propose an agenda. Okay, here's the agenda that I'd like to propose. I'd like to suggest that we first take some time to let me ask you some questions about you and your situation so that I can get a better understanding of you as a person and your situation and where you are now and what you're trying to achieve. Can we do that first? Yes. All right, then after I understand your situation and why you're here, then I'll be happy to share information about my firm and answer any questions you have, but that way I'll be able to tell you only the parts that are going to be relevant to you, right? Because otherwise, if you don't take the time to understand them, you'll start blathering on and on and on about I went to law school here and I've been practicing this long, and they don't care because it's not relevant to what put them there, right? So you're going to propose an agenda like that. They're going to say yes. They're going to appreciate that someone actually has this conversation is supposed to go. Then you get into the agenda. So you get all the information. You get their age, you get their income, you get their education, you get whether they have a house, you get what their credit rating is. Do they have a car? How much equity do they have in the car? Do they own their own business? What do they do for a career? All the questions are relevant for your practice area. Different practice areas, you need to know different information, but almost always you need to know their age. You almost always need to know their marital status. You almost always need to know if they've got kids. How old are their kids? What do their kids do for a living? What is their education? What's the education of their spouse or significant other? What do they do for a living? How much money do they make? Because you need to get a picture of who this person is as a human being, not a case, not a client, a human being. Remember, sales is something we're doing for people as a service, so we need to make sure we understand who they are as a human being.